everyone. This is Devangi Dalal, audiologist and speech language pathologist. We had a lot of talk show where we introduced a lot of things about how we can create awareness about the speech and hearing, and you all have been a wonderful. I love you all because you have taken it in a very right spirit and spread it about the speech and hearing health to everyone in a positive way. So here again, we have come up with another talk show where we have invited all the lovely speakers from all around the world who is going to talk to us about how we can work on the causes, preventions, precautions, and what best treatment we can have. And today we have my friend, beautiful friend, Mercy Melzer with me, with whom I did communication switch awareness, and she has joined us. And we are going to talk about how parents and caregivers can be our language facilitators. So here is Mercy, my lovely friend. We have a lot of things in common. Both of us have been practicing from last 30 years. One other thing which we have in common is that we have two lovely daughters, and Mercy is been a speech language pathologist working from last 30 years. She has conducted a lot of workshops online for the parents and caregivers. Uh, she has world she has worked worldwide waves of communication, giving parent coaching program, and given the right training and support to parents and caregivers to facilitate a natural and prompt spoken language easily so that they can teach their children at home. And she has done a lot of online parent programs. Till now she has produced almost 300 videos for the parents and caregivers so that they can teach their children at home. And she has worked all around 20 plus countries, and she has developed wonderful results working with them. So here we have Mercy Melzer with us. Hi, Mercy.
Hello, Devangi. Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
First of all, namaste from India.
Namaste from US, and now I'm in Ohio, but all over US. We're so happy to connect. So happy to connect across the distance. Yes.
Yeah, and you are beautiful, and your background also looking so beautiful.
Yeah, this is how it is here in United States. We're getting into fall and the cold weather. So I'm happy to share the fall, autumn with all of you.
Yeah, we had your workshop last year on 22nd December on communication switch, and after that we have come across a lot of difficulties due to pandemic. And you have been a very good online, and you have helped so many parents and caregivers how to facilitate language in the children. So what do you think that how parents and caregivers can become a language facilitators, and why they should?
Okay. Well, thank you again for having me. And the first thing that I want to share is that language facilitation strategies are easy and they work differently from typical therapy strategies. Language facilitation is designed for parents and caregivers who spend a lot of time with the late talking child. And parents and caregivers who choose to become language facilitators, they must look at language acquisition or language development from a functional and developmental standpoint, instead of the way therapists do from a more clinical standpoint. And so what happens is the spoken language always comes more quickly when parents and caregivers use language modeling in nice, slow, easy ways. And it has to be the language that the kids want to learn. That's a really big, important aspect of what's going on. And the reason that language facilitation works and why it's so different from therapists and why it's so good for parents and caregivers is because you already know intuitively the things that your late talking child is communicating non-verbally. They drag you around the house, they point to things, they bring you objects. When they can't use words, parents are in the position to guess what kids want. And because you're in that position all day, every day, you get to know, because of your connection with your child all day, every day, the kinds of things they want and need to communicate about. So that's why this works so brilliantly for people who spend a lot of time with the child, because you over time get to know what their nonverbal communications mean. And what language facilitation is we turn those nonverbal communications into language models so that kids will learn the speech, which is a lot easier to use to communicate their ideas than some of the behaviors that they use instead. So it's really, really important for parents to understand how important and impactful they are, both in facilitating language and in blocking the process. Because without this natural language facilitation, most parents do what therapists do, and they try to pull words out of kids. And this mindset shift from being like a therapist to being more like a parent and helping your child learn developmentally, that's what language facilitation is all about. So that's really the main reason that all parents need to learn it, and especially now during the pandemic, because if you weren't with your child all the time before, you certainly are with your child all the time now during the lockdown. So you are learning, what are they using to communicate? How are they getting their messages across? You have a chance to analyze and see them, where a therapist at a therapy session, they only get a very snapshot, just a little bitty bit, where parents and caregivers see the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? And they learn, they teach, because kids need to communicate about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And all of their behaviors are communication. But one of the big problems, we talked about that. One of the questions that you had is about the struggles. But I think the most important thing is that parents realize that you can do this, that it's not hard, like therapy seems hard, that it's much easier when you take it from a natural perspective. And that's really the big message I want to communicate, is you can do it. And it doesn't matter also, Devangi, how old the child is. A lot of parents think that this natural way of teaching, it goes away. The ability for kids to learn naturally goes away after a child reaches a certain age. And then parents double down on this hard work stuff, when what I'm finding with the clients I'm working with, and I'm in 20 countries with families that are bilingual, trilingual, all over the world, they are teaching their kids naturally when they give up the hard work and do it easy. And these kids are 6, 7, 8, even over 10 years old. And it's not a therapist, Devangi, that's getting their kids talking. It's their moms and dads. It's their everyday lives that are doing it. And that's why the videos on my platform and my information is so important right now during the pandemic, because this is the time. You're home. If you can take advantage of one thing during all of this, it is connecting with your child and continuing to do that. And that's what's the big message about all of this.
As you rightly said that, they come to the therapist, say for half an hour, 45 minutes, or maximum 1 hour. But
Right.
then in a day, you have a 24 hours, the other 23 hours you are with your child. So you can give as much as you can give it to the child. And, as technology has become, more advanced, we have become, technologically closer. I think the kind of information you are giving to them, I think they are able to utilize in best of the manner, and they are able to communicate to their children. So like how do you find that difference, that how successful communication becomes if the parents get involved as a language facilitators?
Okay, so just like when you learn a foreign language, you know, I know a lot of people in Indy can relate to this because they go away to work in other countries where they speak a completely different language, and you learn multiple even languages in your country. So just like learning a new foreign language, once you become basically proficient with vocabulary, it really all comes down to practice, right? That's how you learn to use the words. And especially these kids who are older than 3 or 4 years old have been listening to a lot of language, as long as they've been hearing, right? As long as they've got good hearing aids and they can hear well. And even if they're kids who have ear fluid and things like that, as long as those things are corrected and the child can listen and hear well, it all comes down to practice and watching and observing and you know, watching other people using the language properly. Think about how you learned English the first time. You know what I mean? When you first learned in school, you learn all the vocabulary and you learn the lists and you learn all of those things. But it's not until you get a chance to practice with your friends, or even especially people who are speaking the language better than you. Because if you goof up a little bit, you just watch them talking more and more, and you hear over time that they use the better language structures, and you recognize when you're wrong and you self-correct. Because it's no fun to be in a new place and somebody's speaking a different language, and if you get the pronoun wrong or the vocabulary wrong and they say, no, that's wrong, blah, 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 and you're like, I was just asking for a cup of tea. I didn't want a language lesson, right? See, that's what happens so many times with parents when they have late talking kids. They never shut off the teaching. They're constantly teaching instead of practicing modeling the language naturally, which is really what helps us learn, right? You didn't learn from auntie telling you were wrong. You learned from your friend using the language better than you. Were like, oh, she's good at doing that. I want to watch her and see how she learns. And that's what I do. I show parents how to model the language the kids want to say. And that's the really most important part, is that it has to be the language the kids want to say, because no child they're not going to overcome a challenge, which is talking. I mean, if they're late talking, it's hard for them anyway, right? We just have to acknowledge that it's challenging for the kids, and we have to help make it easier for them to try and practice. That's really what it comes down to. And see, what parents and caregivers have is the ability to practice it in little bursts throughout the day. A couple seconds here, a minute or two here while you're getting tea, a couple minutes while you're getting in the car, 5 minutes while you're driving to the store, a few minutes here, a few minutes there, because they're with the kids 24/7. They can get this repeated language input instead of one therapy time, X minutes a week. They can do it all the time. And it's practice. It's not, what is it? Blah, 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 blah. It can't be prompting through this time, because remember, all this time, and I encourage parents to get 2 to 3 hours every day of this language facilitation time. And think about it, over 24 hours, 10 minutes here, 2 minutes here, 5 minutes here, it builds up. And then when you practice at one thing, if you were going to ride a bicycle for 2 to 3 hours every day, you would learn it fast, right? And that's exactly how this works. More like foreign language acquisition in a natural way, not like we learn in school, but like we learn from our friends and being around our families. And when you go live in a place, right? And you watch the ladies at the store. And the other thing that a lot of parents don't get on this same thread of it being more like foreign language learning is, think about your emotion as a limited language speaker whenever you were in an environment and everybody was talking better than you. It's intimidating. It causes anxiety. It causes all that pressure. And if someone pressures you to pull vocabulary and say sentences correctly and correct your speech, it prohibits you from wanting to try. But our mindset as moms, right? When our kids are behind, we take on, we got to teach them. They're not in therapies, they're not in schools. We got to teach them, teach them, teach them. And what I really want parents to understand in this interview is this is the opposite. It's not about pulling words out, it's about putting language in. It's about providing the inputs. Once you get really good hearing, right? Hearing, safe hearing, hearing working well. Once that's all going well, then you have to have the functional language, because the lists of vocabulary aren't going to help you use it, right? The memorized repeated words, say T over and over again, T, T, T. I know what T is. I want to know how to ask for it. I want to know how to say it's too hot. I want to know how to say I don't like this brand, right? These are the language that kids want to know. And they're often prompting parents with their behaviors and language to give them more instead of correct them. But parents miss it, because their mindset is all in, I got to correct my child. And so this is just hopefully helping parents, because, I promise those pressure tactics, if you've been using them in your home, they're breaking down on you. Right? They never work long term because the kids don't like them and the parents can't sustain them because the kids don't enjoy it. If your child enjoys something, you want to keep doing it with them. That's why every language facilitation strategy is easy, it's happy, it's safe, and it's fun. And if it's not those things, your child will take their attention, they'll take their focus, they'll take their listening, they'll take their learning and take it away. And that's what happens. So if your child is running away from you, if they're avoiding you, if you find that they're refusing, and not listening to you and fighting against you. Nobody wants to fight, right? We have to get together and work together, okay? So that's a really big, important part about all of this, is that when you look at it as the parent and caregiver, language acquisition from your perspective, and anybody who's learned a foreign language can relate to this, then you will change.
Yeah, so the foreign language, like how you acquire it with the, doing practice, the same way, we need to give language to the children in a very natural way and relate to everything what is happening around them. I think it's
everything.
Yeah, so it's the simplest thing which you have explained, and it's just wonderful. So Mercy, this is you have been working with parents, and as you said that sometimes you to learn foreign language, for me also, if I have to learn German, Russian, Italian language, it's going to be a difficult task. So as a parent, when they are teaching to their children, do they come across any challenges which you find that we can help parents to know that how to overcome that?
Yeah, there are a few. The first one is this mindset challenge. All right, so I'm going to remind everybody, if you're interested, on my YouTube channel, I have more than 300 videos, but there's one video I'm going to guide everyone to as a good suggestion for you to go watch later, so I don't have to explain the whole thing here. It's called my Swapping the Prompting Challenge, okay? Because what you're doing is swapping out your prompting strategies, asking questions and directing your child, because these are the two biggest blocking habits that parents fall back into. And the progress goes like this. Okay, it always goes up and down. It's never linear, because what happens is things get in the way of life. COVID happens, lockdown changes, people come and go in our life. We move country, we speak new languages, new babies arrive, all kinds of things happen all the time that trigger the mindset to go into worry and fear for the future, because these events from our outside world trigger behaviors in kids, because when they get upset, they don't yell, they don't say it in words, they have a tantrum, they throw things, they hit, they break things, they show some really big behaviors. And those behaviors trigger parents to go back to the worry and this nice approach isn't working anymore. I've got to get back to hard work. Boom, 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 boom. They fight against these behavior changes. So the biggest trick is be prepared for ups and downs. When you're in the ups, celebrate them, keep doing it, watch how it goes. The most important thing to watch for is your child engaged with you. If they're looking at you, if they're smiling when you talk, if they're giving you some eye contact, not perfect, but looking at you more, then you know you're on track. But if you see your child taking their energy away from you, not listening, refusing, remember that it's you that can change that. It's not take them to the doctor moment. It's a look at your own strategies moment, because if you get worried and slide back into asking questions, what are you doing? What is that? Blah, 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 all the questions and all the directions. Come here, do this. You take your kids' hands, you force them to brush their teeth or eat or those things because you're so worried, oh no, he's never going to eat. Because when children stop eating, stop brushing, stop doing things that they used to do, that's a communication. It doesn't reflect that there's something wrong with your child. It reflects that there's something changing. So look at these big behaviors as your indicators, your triggers. If I'm being triggered, why? What is my child communicating? Remember, you're the one who's there 24/7. You know what that tantrum means. He's frustrated because he didn't get something. He wants something. Who knows? You know, right? You're the moms. You're the ones who know. And when you look at that and see those behaviors, instead of responding with your reactive discipline, no, stop, you want to say no, stop, don't when you see those things. But really, when you say no, stop, don't, and your child's communicating, you're shutting them down. You're shutting down the connection between you. When they give you big behavior, it means something big. So interpret it. Why is this behavior happening? And when you understand, it's because they were upset, they were frustrated, they were sad, they were bummed out. Then you just give them hugs instead of yelling at them, right? Because that's what they need. They're just communicating that they're not regulated and they need help from you, their mommy and caregiver. So you are the ones, instead of responding to those big behaviors with discipline, respond to them with grace and care, and understand that they are communicating big emotions in your child. And don't fall into the trap of being a therapist when you get worried, having to work harder. I promise less is more in those situations. Hugs, cuddles, share your energy, recalibrate, and then go back to that nice language talking and get back on the same page. And you work through these problems. And when you do that a few times, okay, it takes a few times, right? But after you do it a few times, then they happen less. And because your child knows you care about their messages and you're not shutting them down. And when they know you're listening and you know they're listening, that's when communication happens, and it's beautiful and brilliant and super, super simple, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think what way you explained, the parents can be the best role model for the children,
The best.
Yeah, I mean, see, like how well you are expressing yourself. I think we all as a parents, we start expressing ourselves in a best possible and positive manner to our children. The children will do great because they see a very expressive, very energetic, very lively role model, like how Mercy is, so this
it's true. And you know what? That is a very good point, Devangi. I guide parents to talk more about themselves. They always talk about the child. What are you doing? What are you wearing? How do you look? Look at me. Look at my shirt. Isn't my necklace pretty? Doesn't my hair look nice? Because you want that from your child. You want them to own themselves. You want them to talk about themselves. How will they learn unless they see you talking about yourself. So talk about yourself, talk about your feelings, talk about your emotions, talk about your frustrations, share those things with your kids, because that's how you connect, right? And that's how you work together as a family to get through boredom, frustration, worry during pandemic. You were together instead of me in my corner and you in your corner looking on our technology, you know, solving our pandemic problems ourselves, right? And that's the last tip I have. I know you're going to ask for other tips, but one other tip is if you are working with a professional, and if you are a professional who's watching this, okay, pandemic time is throw out the rule book, okay? Because the pandemic doesn't have a rule book. The virus doesn't have a rule book. It changes the rules every day as we learn more about it. You make the rules in your house. You decide what is easy, happy, safe, and fun. And if you get suggestions from a professional that doesn't feel good in your house, use your voice and talk to them. The majority of professionals want to help you. They want to coach you. They want to tell you how to solve these problems in your house, but they can't know how to help you unless you share these problems with the professionals, because they're brilliant. They're like Devangi and I, we talk the same language, but we learn from each other all the time. And you know, we join together. She works on hearing, I work on speech. Speech doesn't work without hearing. Hearing doesn't work without speech, but we're very different in our professions, in our way, and we match together because it works together. So if you're a professional, ask your families, because they might be shy and they might not trust that they can ask you these personal questions like, how can I get my kid to eat at home without forcing them? What's the nice way to teach them? How can I, what about bedtime? What about, I don't know what to do, how to keep my child entertained? These professionals across the world have brilliant ideas. And even some of the groups that I'm in on Facebook sharing things, I see other professionals trying hard to come up with strategies for parents to use at home. But you, in this time, every parent must take responsibility. The professionals can't do it. They're not with your child during the day. And even, especially if you're online, use that time to get coaching. Because if your child's not sitting with the professional, use your time to ask them questions about your situation. They're the educated person. And many of them, you know, don't want to talk to parents. They only work with kids. You work with a therapist who wants to work with you. And that's literally what I did with my practice. I don't work with kids anymore. I miss it. I miss playing dolls and tea party and all my fun language facilitation time. But the results that parents are getting is so much better that someday I'm going to travel and go visit them and play tea party and chat with their kids, because their parents are getting them talking. And that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm going to come to India and we're going to talk too.
You are welcome to India. I mean, this is something really very important, because parents need to know, you know, how they need to do communication. I mean, take a very simple example that you want to decorate your house, but you are going to live in the house. The architect, the interior designer doesn't know what practical problems you face. So if you tell the architect, you know, that how I want to design my house, which reduces my practical difficulty, and that's how your house becomes more like a house rather than
and functional. It's functional for you, and that's the whole world is functional. And I write functional with a capital F-U-N, functional, because it functional speech is happy. You feel so successful when in your new foreign language, you can have a whole conversation. You feel great about yourself the first time you use a language functionally, because you communicate socially, it opens your world. And that's what my mission is. So my mission through helping parents with language facilitation is to teach as many parents as possible. So if you're a provider, teach parents, because I want them all to learn how. Every parent needs to learn how to teach your child the words they need, not the words you want them to say, not the words the teachers want them to say, not the words the therapy books say, the words they want to say, and share their wisdom with the world, because this is our future. These kids are brilliant, aren't they? They know everything. And when they have spoken language, their world opens up. And these kids are learning, late talkers, older older than 4 or 5 years old who didn't use communication before 4 years old are now speaking 2 and 3 languages after a year and a half time. Parents can do it.
Yeah, parents can do it. And I mean, this is something fantastic thing, because in pandemic we all have got time with the family. We have got connections with our family again. We have got to spend a lot of time with them. I mean, in fact, being at home with two daughters, I have enjoyed, cooking with them, and doing a lot of other activities together. So this is a very wonderful time, God has given us, to be with our kids, and change the attitude in our kids, and become more closer to them. So I think after the pandemic, the whole world is going to be looking different. So what do you think, that when you were giving online lectures to the parents, like, what do you think, what the scenario is going to be with the parent child relationship after post pandemic? What do you feel?
Well, I think you really talked about it. That's happening in your home. That's happening naturally everywhere. Families are connected and kids are functional. Parents who used to take their kids to therapies in school, who can't anymore, that are working with me since March, right? They have been, now when school reopened this fall, their teachers are looking at new children who can listen, children who can focus. And maybe they didn't learn all the academic skills that they were slated to learn in that year, but they know how to cook. They know how to measure. They know how to do laundry. They know how to get and sort mail. And they're making friends and having social communication with their family. And they're responding and listening to their teachers online. When before the pandemic, these kids were running around the room, even in person. But their parents taught them that when they learn how to listen, when their hearing is working, and they learn how to listen, because late talkers don't listen. They use their eyes to communicate, just like a hearing impaired child. When the listening and processing are not working properly, the eyes come into play and they stop listening. But they will listen. Everybody will listen when you say the words they want to hear, when you say the words they want to say, and they will always listen. And that is the trick. It is just about teaching kids what they want. And they want to learn to cook. They want to learn to fix the car. They want to learn some kids want to learn to clean. I've got moms who've got kids, they love vacuuming. They do the Hoover 5 times a day. They're like, go for it. They've got the cleanest floor they've ever had. So I think after the pandemic, things are going to be cleaner. People are going to know how to cook more. Families are going to be closer, and more people are going to be communicating with speech, because parents are going to teach their kids. And when they go to therapy, the therapist is later after COVID, and they go back into those therapies, the therapists are going to be blown away with the functional skills, and they don't have to go back to doing that repetitive stuff anymore. They can take them to the next level with reading and writing and all the kinds of communication they want to have. So this is the opportunity, just like you said, to get foundational skills, whatever, listening, working together. And when you cook a meal together and eat it and enjoy it and have the social experience, what's better? What's better? So that's what I think is going to happen. I believe that that's our job, you and me, is to, and everybody watching this video, share it out with as many moms as possible, because the more families that have happiness in their household, the more happiness gets out in the world. And that's what we're here for.
Yeah. So, in fact, when I was writing my spreading positivity blogs, one of the things that parents' possibility and positivity, which I wrote about. And I really relate to you, because that is something, the possibilities and positivity in the world, which is possible, if we all work together. So, I think our conversation, which through the technology has become closer, and a therapist from US and a therapist from India, we have exchanged information, and I think
beautiful. Yeah.
It's going to spread all over the world, and I think more and more parents will benefit. And as you said, that we'll have a happiness, out in the world. One more thing, which have always, I had in your discussion about, spirituality. So what things, or what words you want to give it to the parents, that how spirituality is important for us?
All right. So one of my favorite spiritual guides is Sadhguru. And I know many people in India know Sadhguru. I've taken the inner engineering here in the United States, and what I really respect about what he says, and I feel that I continue to teach in my teaching, is the fact of responsibility, right? So, we take responsibility for parenting when we have a child. We take responsibility for educating the world when we become a therapist. We take a responsibility for being a participant in the world when we are a human being, right? We all have responsibility to be who we are meant to be, who is our life purpose. And I believe that everyone is here with a positive life purpose to spread positivity in their own way, because we all have different talents and skills, right? And when you look at not giving up the responsibility for educating, parenting, teaching your child everything, you accept this responsibility wholeheartedly, then the solutions you need will come to you. Just like this video. There are many parents watching this video who are teetering with spirituality, who are teetering with kids, who are on the verge of frustration and worry, because I see them every day. They come to my program, and I know you see them every day too. And we're here, both of us, Devangi and I, are here to tell you that not only is it possible, it is probable. Because you didn't find this video by random. You were guided to find it, just like we were guided to make it. And we were guided through our whole entire lives, thanks to our creator, right? For this opportunity to share the information with everyone in the world. So it's your responsibility now to take action. You can go to my website, wavesofcommunication.com. You can read my book. You can read Devangi's book that's coming out. It's going to be amazing. You can take the action to learn yourself. There are resources abounding, free resources that cost you nothing, that will help you start to take action. And when you do, you will see the change in your life.
Yeah, truly, I agree to it. And I think this is fantastic. I think the communication which we have today gets spreaded all over the world, and people come across, these wonderful ideas which you have given to them, how as a parents they can be a best language facilitators. And I think every individual on this universe needs to take the responsibility of, being a better human being. And I think we as a professionals have done our bit. I think we have to leave it to the rest, to our audience who are listening us, to be best, so that this universe becomes more beautiful, like how you have a beautiful background behind you. So we are already spreading that the beauty is required, and I think that beauty we only can create. So
I agree.
so this is just fantastic. We had a lovely interview. Thanks a lot to join. And I wish that the audience who are listening us will benefit out of this. And we will have a further talk if they need the talk from us, and we will come out with the new ideas and new things.
Yes, you can't get rid of me that easy now that we're just getting started. We too, you will hear many more words from Devangi and Marcy together, I'm sure, in the future.
Here, Devangi and Mercy, we give best wishes to all the parents to become best language facilitators. And I wish that if you have any questions, you do write to us, and you can ask us. You can find our website. You have Waves of Communication for Mercy Melzer. I have my own website, devangidalal.com. So please do join us, and let us know if you have any questions. And this is just a fantastic, we had a talk show. Mercy, thanks a lot, and
thank you.
See you soon in US. And I hope you come to India soon.
Likewise. Okay, bye now.
Bye.